Okay, I'm going to show you the corrections for the March spiral number 3 that you did on Friday. Okay, here are the answers. You can always pause this if I'm going a little too fast. Okay, so number 1, unless they tell you otherwise, you always round to the largest place value. So this can either stay at 4,000 or go up to 5,000. The 8 tells us to go up to 5,000. The 4 tells us to let it rest at 500. Okay, and we add those together and get 5,500. Number 2, find your place value. The 0 tells us to let it rest at 4,000. Okay, and then we're going to round this to the nearest 100. This 9 tells us to go up after 900 is 1,000. And the difference means to subtract. So that gives us an answer of 3,000. Okay, this one, the 4 stays the same, and the 9 is broken up into 4 and 5. 4 plus 5 is 9. And then the main difference is this is an addition. You have to add these two numbers together. You do not multiply them. So your answer should be A. Okay. All right, Peggy has 48 cookies. She wants to give them to each of her teachers. That is 48 divided by 4 equals 12 cookies each. Here when I showed you this, I did already break up this one into 1/3. And this one, if I'm going to break it up into 5 parts, I make 4 lines. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. And I just checked. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different parts. Okay, each one of these broken into 3/4. So this tells me how many parts to break it into, and this tells me how many to shade, okay? I can shade any 3 of these, okay? 3/4, that means, again, on Friday I showed you if you're gonna make 4 parts, you draw 3 lines. So I made my 0 and my 1, and then I drew 3 lines. So if I'm gonna do, this is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, okay? So I would go 1, 2, 3. This would be my mark on 3/4. And then here, I'm gonna break this rectangle into 4 parts. So I'm going to draw 3 lines. If I draw 3 lines, I draw 1 in the middle, 1 in this middle, and 1 in that middle. And I'm going to shade 3 out of the 4 parts. It doesn't matter which 3 you shade, as long as you shade any 3 out of the 4, and you should have 1 not shaded. Okay, this one we did together on Friday. And then here, how many total people were surveyed? Okay, each person counts for 2. So 2, 4, 6, and 1 is 7. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 2, 4, and half a person would be 1. So we want to add 7 and 8. That's 15. 4 plus 1 is 5. 15 plus 5 is 20 people. Okay? All right, let's take a look at March Spiral 4, which is the one you're going to do today. All right, solve. No problem. You can do that. Make sure you write it up and down, though. And make sure you are lining up those place values. Do not turn this into 1,920 by putting the 1 over in the thousands place, okay? Same with this. You're just going to subtract, but they gave you plenty of room to rewrite it. It's the same problem, but addition and subtraction, same numbers. Make sure you line up those place values. Number 3, what is the value? Meaning, how much is this 3 worth? How much is that 6 worth? Don't just write a 3 and a 6. How much is that 3 really worth because it's in the tens place? How much is that 6 really worth because it's in the thousands place? Okay, which of these breaks up 6 times 12 correctly? Again, you have to have an addition in the middle, so you can just not even consider B and D because you do not multiply those two numbers. I mean, imagine you get 36 times 36. That's never going to be the same as 6 times 12. So you're adding. So these are your only 2, and you have to look at it and go, okay, it looks like the 6 is staying the same. Which one of these correctly broke up that 12? Number 5, Mr. Popper made a cake. He cut it into 8 pieces. Does each piece below show 1/8? Well, you're going to have to look at those and see if those are equal parts. Fractions must be equal parts. Write a yes or no and tell me why. Okay, it says explain. Compare the fractions with less than, equal, or less than, greater than, or equal to. First, you have to write the fraction. So when you go to do this, count up the total number of pieces, and that's your denominator. Count up the total number of shaded parts, that's your numerator. Total number of parts, denominator. Total number of shaded parts, numerator. You can use your fraction flip book to see which is greater or less, but you can also tell that right away just by looking at the shading to see which one has more shading, okay? And you're gonna put a greater than, less than, or equal sign in that box. Okay, number 7's a little tricky. Alice has a 50-gram weight over here. On this side of the balance scale, there's 4 weights, and these weigh 60 grams, okay? If each weight is equal in grams, meaning each one of these weighs the same, what was the mass of each weight? Well, clearly you need to do 60 divided by 4, but we don't quite know how to do that yet. 4 times what is 60? Okay, that's what you have to figure out. So I'm gonna flip over to the back and use that, okay? Let's see, our biggest number that we know times 4 is 12. And 12 times 4 is 48, okay? Not big enough. So what we're gonna do is try 13 times 4, 14 times 4, 15 times 4. We know 20 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So 20 times 4 is 80. So it's somewhere between 13 and 19, right? And so here we know that 12 times 4 is 48, right? And we know that 20 times 4, is 80. So we want something to equal 60. So it's got to be bigger than 12 and less than 20, okay? So we're just going to try some. It's a little closer to the 12 than it is the 20 if you're looking at 48 compared to 60 compared to 80. So if you remember, we've done this a little bit in class, okay? So if we're going to do 12 times 4, just to show you one that you know, right? Remember, you multiply these two numbers first. So 2 times 4 is 8, and 4 times 1 is 4, okay? So you're going to take this bottom number, you're going to multiply it by the 1s, and then multiply it by the 10s, okay? 48 is too small. So let's try 13 times 4, okay? Ignore this one. So 3 times 4 is 12. I'm going to put the 1 up here and the 2 down there, okay? Then 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 more is 5, so 52. We're getting closer to 60, okay? 14 times 4, okay? 4 times 4 is 16. I'm gonna put the 1 up here and carry that. Now we're done with the 4, so now 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 56, we're getting closer to 60. All right, let's try 15 times 4. Okay, 5 times 4, 20. So you're gonna put the 2 up here and put the 0 down there. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 more, 4 plus 2 is 6. That's our magic number, 15. Okay, so if each one of these were 15, 15, 15, and 15, 15 times 4 equals 60. Okay, so for number 7, they are each 15 grams. Okay, and number 8, each smiley face equals 2 people. What was the difference in the number of people who liked cats and dogs compared to the number of people who liked fish and birds? Okay, so we have cats plus dogs compared to fish plus birds, okay? So first thing you need to do is figure out how many people voted for cats, how many people voted for dogs, how many people voted for fish, how many people voted for birds, okay? So first figure that one out, okay? Write the answer right here, just like we did yesterday, right? We wrote the answers at the end of each column, or each row, okay? So this is 2, 4, 6, plus 1 more is 7, right? 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, I think it's the same as yesterday. 2, 4, and 1, okay? It's the same exact from yesterday. So now, but they're not asking us how many total. They asked us that yesterday. They want to know what's the difference between the people who liked cats and dogs together, so add those up and write that there, and the people who liked fish and birds. So add up fish and birds and write that there, and you have to find the difference between those two numbers, and that's your answer. Okay? Good job.